Question number 6. Which of the following is true of the sentence, "It was prevalent everywhere," in lines 17 and 18? So let's take a look at the choices. A, the sentence introduces a series of sentences similar to it in style. No, the sentence is a short, simple sentence, and the sentences that follow it are very lengthy, compound, complex sentences. Cross out A. B, the sentence echoes the rhythm of those that precede it. Again, no, the sentences that come before it are also lengthy, compound, complex sentences. C, the pronoun it establishes a deliberate and profound sense of ambiguity. No, if you're reading closely, it's very clear that hunger is what the pronoun it refers to, so C won't work. D, the brevity of the sentence emphasizes its content. This sounds good. The sentence is very short, and the shortness of it in the midst of these longer sentences draws the reader's attention, so D is a good answer. E, the understatement in the sentence conveys an ironic meaning. No, there is no understatement. It says that hunger is prevalent everywhere, which would be leaning more toward overstatement than understatement, so E won't work. And the best answer is D, the brevity of the sentence emphasizes its content. Question number 7. Which of the following best describes the author's figurative treatment of hunger in lines 18 through 33? So just quickly looking through the passage, we see that Dickens has hunger plowed into every furrow of age. It's pushed out of tall windows to hang in the wretched clothes on the line. It's patched into the straw and rag and wood and paper of the houses. It's in the fragments of the small modicum of wood. It's staring down from the smokeless chimneys. It's staring up from the streets where there is no offal or animal entrails among the refuse or garbage. It's an inscription on bakers' shelves in the sausage shops. It rattles its dry bones among the roasting chestnuts. It's shred into atomies in the chips of potatoes. Now let's look at the choices. A, by repeating the word hunger, the author trivializes its impact. This doesn't really fit. The author isn't trivializing the impact of hunger by repeating it. We don't get the sense of hunger being unimportant because he mentions it so much. So no, eliminate A. B, by changing the metaphor frequently, the author illustrates the omnipresence of hunger. We do have changes of metaphor. Hunger is a sigh, it's patches on the houses, it's fragments of wood, it has dry bones that it rattles, it's an inscription. And what all of these metaphors accomplish is to show us that hunger is everywhere or omnipresent. So yes, B is a very good answer. C, by sustaining an allegory, the author develops hunger as a complex character. We don't have an allegory here. An allegory is a story that reveals a truth or message, and that's not what's going on here. The author is using metaphors to describe hunger within this story, so C is incorrect. D, by addressing hunger repeatedly, the author captures its elusive and foreboding nature. There is no reason to describe the nature of hunger as elusive or difficult to find, so this answer doesn't really make sense. We can eliminate D. E, by imagining various scenarios, the author creates a history of hunger and deprivation. Dickens not creating a history of hunger and deprivation. He is describing Saint Antoine at this particular time. So we can eliminate E, and the correct answer is B. By changing the metaphor frequently, the author illustrates the omnipresence of hunger. Question number 8. The description of the drops of oil as reluctant in line 33 suggests which of the following? So hunger was shred into atomies in every farthing porringer of husky chips of potato fried with some reluctant drops of oil. So looking at 1, the oil separated from the potatoes the people were trying to eat. This would be using the word reluctant as if Dickens were saying that the drops of oil are reluctant to be attached to the potatoes, and in the context, that doesn't make sense. 2, the impoverished people were hesitant to use up the precious oil. This fits into what we know is going on in this passage. You could say that Dickens is calling the drops reluctant as an extension of the reluctance of the people to use it. So this is good. 3, the meager supply of oil was nearly exhausted. This also fits because hunger is everywhere, which means that there isn't much of anything to eat, and that would include oil. So the best answer is A, 2 and 3 only. Question number 9. The passage establishes a mood of what? A, guarded optimism. Certainly not. There is no optimism here, guarded or otherwise. B, stoic determination. We don't get anything in this passage that hints at determination. C, violent retribution. No, there is nothing in this particular passage that hints that anyone wants to get back at anyone for anything. That comes later in this novel, so if you're familiar with the novel, don't let those kinds of answers throw you off. Stick to the passage, and there's no hint of that in the passage. D. Bewildering chaos. You might be tempted by this answer because you might think of a situation where there is almost no food as chaotic, but that's not what's really going on. We have these relentless images of hunger, but the imagery in the passage isn't chaotic. The children have grave voices, and there are clothes hanging on the line. There's a man sawing wood. The baker's shelves are stocked with scanty bread. So people are not bewildered and there isn't chaos. People are doing their jobs, their chores. They're just starving while they're doing them. E. Grim despair is a much better answer. Grim is dark or terrible, and despair indicates a feeling of hopelessness. And with the young being ground old and the presence of hunger everywhere, this comes closest to describing the mood. So the answer is E. Grim despair. Question number 10. The primary purpose of the passage is what? A. Moral exhortation. No one is exhorting or encouraging anyone to virtue or morality here, so no. B. Social criticism. We have people starving here, and a depiction of people starving in a literary work is very often part of a social criticism, because as long as there are people who are not starving, the presence of those who are underscores at least a perceived injustice of society. Saint Antoine, as the footnote on your test passage told you, is a district in Paris, and we get imagery of Saint Antoine as a saintly presence. But then his lords-in-waiting are cold, dirt, sickness, ignorance, and want. So we see this image of a religious Christian figure that's contrasted with these terrible conditions. It's definitely social criticism to imply that in this Christian society, in this saintly presence, and under this sacred countenance, people are allowed to starve. So this answer is very good. C. Political advocacy. We don't have anything in this passage that links anything with political support for a particular cause, so cross out C. D. Philosophical reflection. We have a description of an abject situation here. There's not a philosophical reflection made on the situation, though, so this answer is incorrect. E. Cultural comparison. We don't have a comparison here with another culture, so no. And that leaves us with B. Social criticism as the best response. Question number 11. Which of the following best describes the tone of the passage? A. Hopeful. Not at all. We've already noted that we have grim despair here. Cross out A. B. Hysterical. No, there's no indication of hysteria or uncontrolled extreme emotion. We saw earlier that the voices of the children are grave and people are carrying on with their work, so B is incorrect. C. Ironic. While there is a hint of irony in the beginning, the sacred countenance and those grim lords-in-waiting on a saintly presence, this tone is not carried out throughout the passage, so this isn't the best answer. D. Insistent. We do have images of this relentless, all-pervasive hunger throughout the entire passage, so this is a better answer. E. Ambivalent. This refers to mixed or contradictory feelings, and we don't have that, so the best answer that we have is D. Insistent.